Hey, good morning, folks. This is Matthew. I'm going to be doing a quick tutorial for a self-portrait graphic design project. This is an introductory project, mostly focused on using the grid as a tool, introducing the grid as a tool and thinking in a modular way, and also thinking about texture and value and essentially materiality and the way that you can diagrammatically create a plan or an architectural blueprint for moving forward. And so, those are just a few things that are sort of related to this project, but it would probably be easier if I showed you. So what I'm going to do here, start sharing screen. um, And so this is my project folder. In all of my classes, I always encourage folks to have a project folder so that you can stay organized. So you need a course folder, then you need a project folder so that you can gather all of your assets together into one place. This is an introductory course, so I don't expect folks to be able to use Adobe Illustrator quite yet. But in a sense, I feel like this project introduces folks to the software. And so if you've taken Digital Media 1 with me or an Adobe Illustrator course, this is essentially bread and butter, and these are very simple things to do with the software, or things that you can do with the software. But if you've never used Adobe Illustrator before, this may seem like wizardry to you. And so that just indicates how powerful this software really is. And so here is the template that I always use, and this is not the first time I've offered this project, so I have a template sort of ready to go. And I've opened up that template right here. And one of the primary things that are important with this this template and project is setting up an artboard with a 1/2-inch grid. And so here are one set of grid lines that are created using, essentially you can use the segment tool. You could use the pen tool. Those are the two tools that I would probably leverage to get this project done. So yeah, the line segment or the pen tool, but also you need to have your grid sort of engaged or turned on. You can do that under preferences. I always use the shortcut. I know it's here somewhere. Um, gosh, perspective grid. We don't want that. Sorry, folks. I'm so used to using the shortcut. I don't know where it is here. It's here somewhere under view though. But essentially, you can toggle the grid on and off with a shortcut key. And it's also really important to turn snap to grid on. I do know where that is. That's right here. You guys can see that really clearly. I have that engaged when I'm using Adobe Illustrator constantly. So snap to grid. Okay. And then I just wanted to show you guys really quickly how you can create a simple line with the pen tool. So I'm going to do it on the side here. I can't do it on this layer because it's locked. So I'm going to have to come down here and select this layer temporarily. But you can see, look at the way, if I zoom in, look at the way the pen tool is really locking into that grid system real beautifully. Okay, so obviously I want it to be straight. And another trick is that while you're using the pen tool, if you want to create a straight line, if you just hold shift with your pinky tool, that'll ensure, so no matter where I move my cursor, it'll create a 45-degree angle too, apparently. But you can hold shift. Obviously, that's really not an issue if you have snap to grid on, but maybe you don't have snap to grid on and you want it to be a perfectly straight line. You can hold shift, okay? So you can see the snap to grid is really handy. I'm going to complete this pen line by clicking again, and there you go. And see, it wants me to continue. I could continue, but I can also escape out of it. So I just hit escape, and so now that line is done. I can go in and I can, by the way, I can edit this line too. I can double click into that anchor and move it around. And as you can see, I can also move it around according to the grid. You guys, snap to grid is a godsend in the design world, if you ask me. But don't take my word for it. Give it a shot. You can also change the width of the stroke on a line by coming up here, and you can see that right now it has a fill associated with it, but because it's only a stroke and not necessarily a full formed object, you can't see the white fill. So we can come over here and make that go away, and it's not going to affect that vector-based object at all. Or we can come in here and we can actually change the color for fun. Of course, it has to be selected. If we try to make any changes to that object and it's not selected, nothing will happen. You got to select the object, and then you can come up here and change the stroke as well. So, this is, I love just showing people Illustrator. It's so much fun. Really powerful stuff. So that's creating a line using the pen tool. If you want to delete an object, you just select it and hit delete. And then you can use the line segment tool as well. Okay. And that's basically, as far as I can tell, it's the same thing, except a pen tool allows you, remember, after I made that second anchor point, the pen tool wanted me to continue to make a full formed object, but you can just escape out of it. So it's just one simple line. That's the real difference, in my opinion, between the line segment tool and the pen tool. Okay. And also the line segment tool did not create an object by default with a fill. It only has a stroke, but you can come up here and modify the color of that object. You can modify the stroke or the width of that object. So it's the same thing. When you are creating your grid on your artboard, which is 18 by 18 inches, if you're wondering, well, I don't know how wide my artboard is. I mean, I know it's 18 by 18 inches, but I need a little help understanding exactly where to place these line segments. Well, you can turn on if you click Command R on a Mac, it'll bring up this ruler. You can also go under view and find that as well. Of course, I'm so used to using the shortcuts. I don't know where they are over here, but they're under view somewhere. Trust me. Okay, you can find them. So, but you notice how my ruler just popped up, and it's kind of nifty. You can see, I mean, it's an exact and very precise way to understand some dimensions on your artboard document. Okay. So before, I'm going to do just a few traces for some students that actually sent me some images for me to treat with the software. But before I do that, I mean, first of all, I'm going to engage the grid, and also notice how I have the grid locked down. So I've locked down these layers, and it's a separate layer where I've built that as well, because I want to put this profile information or image information underneath the grid, because when students receive these exported PNGs, they're going to be using this information to essentially map a portrait of themselves. Okay. So there's the grid that we've kind of set up really nicely, and I can actually make this there's the software grid, and then there's the physical or virtual grid that we've made. So I'm going to make the software grid go away. I don't know if you guys saw that, but you can again toggle that on and off really easily. And I want to show you all, kind of what we're doing. And essentially we're taking a photograph and we're tracing that photograph after we've made it grayscale. And we're extracting the 6 different value systems that are articulated with the software onto separate layers, so that students can essentially assign a material or a texture to each of those layers. And then use their personal expression and creativity to create a self-portrait. Okay. So I'm going to slowly kind of rebuild this portrait of the student that I did last time. So look at this. This is the lightest. Oops. And by the way, I just hit Command 0 so I could see the whole entire artboard all at once. And then another layer. Another layer. Another layer. Another layer. And another layer. Okay. And so this would be a valuable document to have all the values all together at once. Okay. And of course, I just for fun, let me take away the grid for a moment. And when you're creating your 18 by 18 inch sheet of paper and then laying out your grid physically, I mean, you'll understand, okay, this is a roadmap. This is an architectural blueprint so that I can complete this project. And again, all we're simply doing, and I'll start from the darkest value system this time. Again, 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 again. Okay, these layers are currently locked, but actually what I want to do, and I hope this particular student doesn't get upset, but I'm going to have to delete these vectors that I traced of her. I've already sent this information to her, so I don't think it's a big deal. So I'm going to unlock all those layers. Then I'm going to hit Command A for select all. Look at the beautiful, all the vectors being selected too. I don't know, I just love looking at this stuff. God, I love Illustrator. It's so much fun. So powerful. And then just hit delete, right? And then we can start over. So we're going to actually start with, I think we should start with this layer right there where it says student. And then I'm going to come up here to file. Oh, I almost forgot, actually. We need to treat that photo with Photoshop. So let me open up Photoshop really quickly. Where is that? There it is. 1 second, folks. I almost forgot, because before we bring the photo into Adobe Illustrator, it's most likely a photograph, a color photograph, okay, that needs to be brought into Photoshop, cropped, and also the color information needs to be extracted so it is simply grayscale. So we're trying to simplify things. Essentially, it's better for the trace, okay? Okay, so we've got that going. You can kind of see I've been doing this for quite a few other students here in the past few days. And again, I'm religious about project management. And so you need a course folder, you need a project folder, you need an assets folder where you can place all of your stuff. Even if you're not doing anything digital, you're still working with your hands and you're going to be photographing your process. And so you could actually create a file folder within this folder called process. And then you just dump all the images that you've been taking with your iPhone or Android device. And you can have that for your academic record. Believe me, folks, you never know when you're going to need this stuff again when you're trying to compile a portfolio. It's very, very important. So student work, fall 2023. A lot of these I've already done, but I know I'm pretty sure I need to do this for Elias, okay? So I'm going to open with Photoshop. Pretty interesting image. I really kind of like the sketch of the background, and I think the shadow is actually kind of nice too. For this particular project, I did request that folks send me a more simple photo, but there's something I really like about this one too. Okay, and it's already cropped. It's already a perfect square, right? All we need to do is come up here to image, adjustments, and then where is it? Darn it. Mode, grayscale. Discard color information. Boom. And then save. And I just want to confirm that it is perfectly square, so 1-to-1 ratio. So I'm going to crop it one more time. Save. Okay, so we're good with Elias. I think I needed to do one for Rowena. This is a perfect image with a nice, clean, simple, clear background, a little subtle texture, which might turn out to be kind of interesting. And there's some slight shadow of the figure here too. And so this is a really nice photo. It's a perfect square from what I can tell currently. And again, I come up here to image, adjustments, excuse me, not adjustments, but mode. And if you come over here to mode, then it says grayscale here. And then it will ask you, hey, do you want to get rid of all the color information? Discard, yes, save. I got to be honest, folks, usually if this were a photo that I thought was really precious or that I wanted to save, instead of just kind of a snapshot, or just the real truth is, when you're a designer, you kind of develop these traits of being very, very overly cautious with digital assets. So you're always kind of saving as. So usually I would have like in that file folder for Rowena, I would have, okay, here's Rowena -color, and then I would save as Rowena -BW black and white. Okay. So just kind of, food for thought. But, today, because I'm doing this work for students and I'm just trying to expedite things, I'm moving a little bit more quickly. But I think it is sort of fun just to kind of talk about some of my design process and cautionary tales from experience that I can share with you. So that's good. Save, close. I think that was it. I'm trying to make sure. Okay, Chantel sent me a new image. So we need to work on this one too. And I think we can squinch this one in just a little bit, trying to get a little bit closer to her profile image. But I do like how this image has more shoulder, more just more of her. Yeah. Okay. I think that's good right there. And mode, grayscale, discard, Control S for save, Control W for close. Boom. Okay, so now we can move on to some of the more fun stuff. So now in Illustrator, what you got to do is come up here to File, Place. Let's see. We go to another project folder or student folder rather. Let's start with Rowena. So there's that image that we removed the color information to make it grayscale. We're going to place it. And look, when I engage place, see how it kind of has a thumbnail, and Illustrator's essentially asking me, okay, where do you want the file? It really doesn't matter right now because I can make adjustments after the fact because I can use the black arrow tool and just kind of move things around, okay? And now I just zoomed in, by the way. So zooming in and zooming out to me is really a big thing, with all this software. And you can always hit Command-0 to kind of see everything all together. But there's also snap to grid still on. So notice how Rowena's photo is snapping. That's good. And in fact, you don't even have to do it with your cursor. You can select the object, and then you can toggle with your arrow keys on your keyboard, which is kind of cool too. So, but obviously that image needs to be bigger. So I need to hold shift with my left pinky, and I need to grab that corner and bring it on down. And because it's cropped 1:1, it's going to fit like a glove. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Ace Ventura: Pet Detective like a glove. All right. So there we go. Now that's pretty good. I mean that has the plan, but there's so much grayscale here. We need to simplify the grayscale into just 6 tiers or 6 levels, or we need to get specific with grayscale because otherwise, with your project, we need to narrow things down a little bit and simplify things. And in fact, just for fun, I wonder, what I'm going to do is I want to show you guys. Let's Google Andy Warhol portraits just real quick. Just for some context. You can imagine, like in the 80s, I think on one of my projects, there is an article with Andy Warhol sitting in front of a computer in like 1982 or something like that. But Andy Warhol was obviously really interested in technology and mechanical reproduction, as far as printmaking and photography, technology in general. So he was painting from a very unique perspective, but he also had a design background. He was an illustrator. Okay. But look at the way that, these portraits are sort of simplified. Okay. And we're going to be doing something kind of similar. I don't know. I think that there's a connection. I feel that there's a connection with these Andy Warhol portraits, but more importantly, just the process of using technology to facilitate a unique visual solution. Okay. So now let's take another step. Let's look at Chuck Close portraits. Oops. Because these are very much based off of the grid. Okay, that is a very detailed image. Let's go down here. Here we go. Look at the way that Chuck Close is just interpreting information inside of each of those grid cells. Yeah. using a photograph as well, right? Beautiful. I love Chuck Close. If you ever take a drawing class with me, we do a self-portrait in that class, and there is reference to Chuck Close a bit, but mostly reference to the grid, really. But look at the details and the modular grid-like information that he's interpreting. It's very similar to what I'm asking you to do for this project. Okay. And truth is, I mean, is this painting? Is it photography? Is it drawing? Is it painting? It's all the above. Okay. So now we're going to select Rowena's photo. We're going to come up here to image trace, and we're going to say 6 colors. And you can see there are lots and lots of different options here, but we want to keep it simple. So we're going to say 6 colors. And then Illustrator is going to do a little bit of thinking for us now. Okay. So now I need to get these on separate layers. So I need to select the object that was just traced. And by the way, let's zoom in and look at the work that Illustrator has done to essentially transpose this image into 6 different values instead of endless values, right? And now we can expand and then come up here to File, go to Object, Ungroup. And now I'm going to start placing these value systems on different layers. And the way that I can do that is I can select the darkest value, for example, in the hair, and then I come up here to select, same, fill, and then just move it up here. Lock it, make it go away for a moment. So I'm just going to do that to articulate each of these layers, which I am then going to send to Rowena so that she can use those as a roadmap or a blueprint to complete her project. Select, same, fill, select, same, fill. And there's a lot of repetition involved with design. Select, same, fill. And you can see why I'm doing that, because I don't want to just select this fill over here. I want to select all of them. And otherwise I would have to hold shift and select them uniquely or individually. And you can see some of these guys are really, really small. So I'm using the software, I'm using the tool, the way Andy Warhol was smart enough to think, man, like look at what these tools can do. They can help me. They can expedite. I mean, I can move faster. I can be a machine. I can't quite be Adobe Illustrator, but I can start thinking like a machine. Okay, that's the last one right there, right? So again, 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 again. Okay. And just for fun, Rowena, don't be mad at me, but I'm gonna have some fun with this project. And I'm gonna make I'm gonna change the color of your hair. Okay. So I'm gonna unlock this layer, select, same fill, and I'm gonna make, you can see that right up here it's telling me what color the fill is, but I can change it. I'm gonna change it to a nice blue, just for fun. It doesn't matter because Rowena is going to be using this to create, she's going to be plugging in, this is essentially basically just a diagram, because she's going to be plugging in her own thoughts on what each of these value scales can and should be, whether it's a drawn texture pattern or a different color, or maybe it's a sculptural sort of assemblage or collage using natural materials like dirt and leaves and bark or sand. And so you can do anything you want, but this is your roadmap. So for example, if Rowena wants to focus on one material, then she would pull up the one file that I'm going to send to her that focuses on that one material. And because there's a grid associated and telling her where everything needs to go, like plug and chug, right? Except plug and chug with a beautiful texture or color. There is labor, time, and work associated with this project. That's intentional because guess what? Art takes work and time. A lot of folks think, oh man, you're taking an art class. I mean, that's going to be an easy A. As you guys have found out, I'm making you do a lot of work in this class because art really is a lot of labor, time, and work. I believe that very firmly. Okay, so now I have to send these to Rowena individually. So now I'm going to go to File, Export as. I'm going to call this one A, and I got to make sure it's going to the right place. Okay, I want to be organized, and with my file management, I want to click Use Artboards, yes, and I want to call this one A. Export, PNG with a transparent background, 150 ppi. Next one, File, Export as B. File, Export as C. Use artboards. File, Export as, use artboards. D. File, Export as, use artboards. E. File, Export as F. Transparent background. And I want to also send an image of all of these together. And Rowena, I know that blue might be a little distracting, so I'm going to do you a favor and I'm going to back the way it was. Well, there we go. It's not quite the gray that was there, but I think it'll work a little better for you. Okay. So File, Export as all. Now I'm going to save it just because, you never know when Adobe Illustrator will crash or do something funny. So it's good to save, in my opinion, every 15-20 minutes. And it's also really good to save as. These files, they're not very big files. So you can save as a different iteration or version of your project file so that, it does happen occasionally where a file will get corrupted. And if it's a really important file to you, that can be really catastrophic. Okay, so saving as occasionally is a good idea. All right, so let's unlock all these, select all, like we did with the previous student, but let's go in and admire all the beautiful vectors. Really cool stuff. Yeah. And delete, and then we'll start over. Okay, so now we got to come down here to the student layer, file. We're starting over, right? Yeah. File, place. Now let's go to Chantel. Real nice image that she sent me. That's going to work out real well. Put it in the corner. This one is a little bit too big, so we got to squinch it down. And so I'm going to grab that corner and hold shift. If you don't hold shift, by the way, let me just kind of show you what happens. That's not going to work, right? Command Z for undo. Make sure it fills the entire artboard properly. Select it. Image trace, 6 colors. Watch it work. Takes a little while, right? Okay, so that's the image. That's a really cool image. I like this one, Chantel. Select it, expand, object, ungroup, and then we got to do the same old drill. We got to start selecting these different values. Select, same, fill. And by the way, I don't think I really talked about this very. Notice how there's a blue outline on all of the vectors that I just selected. Well, look over here. There's a little sort of a icon. Well, it's telling you indicates selected art, and you can drag that to a different layer, lock it, make it go away. Okay, so this is essentially layer management, which is really, really important for a designer to be hyper focused on, if you ask me. Select, same, fill, boom. Select, same, fill, boom. And I'm kind of doing it in order too. I hope you guys are following that. Select, same, fill, boom. Select, same, fill, boom. And I did kind of, it's interesting. This layer, I think, should actually be here, okay? Because that's the darkest layer. So I did get out of order a little bit, unfortunately. I got let's evaluate this. So that's darkest. It's good. It's good. Okay. So I just need to send this one up here, apparently. Okay, because that's the lightest. All right. Well, let's start exporting this stuff. File, export, save as, use artboard, and now I have to switch the file folder. Go over here to Chantel, A. File, export, save as, B. File, export, save as, C. File, export, save as, D. File, export, save as, E. Almost there, guys. File, export, save as, F. Okay, now I'm going to file, export, save as, all. And by the way, if we come over here, you can see, I mean, that was, I don't need this. This is the original image that Chantel sent me. And this is the modified image. So we can bring those up on the screen just for fun. Compare and contrast. Wow, that's pretty cool. Okay. So Chantel, you're set. Now I'm going to unlock these layers, select all, do the drill where we come in here. And by the way, you notice when I zoom in and out, you can see those anchor points, because you can go in and actually select those anchor points and move them. That's a circumstance that we would not want to do right now, but sometimes you do want to modify things. But that itself is a really cool image too. And of course, you could do that by adding. So right now, these all just have a fill associated with them, not a stroke. So you can see there's no stroke. There's no stroke here, just a fill that's associating that kind of very light gray with. Okay, so let's delete everything. Select all, delete, and we're going to start over. I think we have one more to do, and then we'll call it a day. So, but I'm going to put this layer back down here because I'm a little more comfortable with that. So student place, I believe it was Elias. We need to work on Elias's image. Zoom out, grab that edge, hold shift, move it in, make sure it's real snug in that corner. Perfect. It's all about the details in design, folks. Well, in art and design, if you ask me. Now, select it, image trace, 6 colors. Watch Illustrator do its magic. Take a sip of coffee. Wunderbar. Expand, object, ungroup, ungroup until you can't ungroup anymore. And then start selecting, fill color, and start moving that appropriately. So you guys can see that once you get the hang of Illustrator, it's pretty darn easy. Select, same, fill. I mean, it's just a tool. That's all it is. It's a really powerful, valuable tool. Okay, and there we are. So I'm going to start on this side this time. Oops. File, export, save as A. We got to change the location. File, save as B. Whoops, that's actually not what I want. File, export. Export as, not save as. B. Lost my rhythm there for a second, folks. File, export, save as C. File, export, save as D. File, export, save as E. File, export, save as F. And I want to send all of these to Mr. Elias so that he can look at all of them at once if he chooses. Hope you guys learned a lot from this tutorial. And I know that a lot of you don't have Adobe Illustrator right now, but you will be using a lot of Adobe products with me in the near future, and with different classes. So just kind of be patient, but I think this is sort of a fun introduction. I think I know this isn't relevant to other folks that might be watching this video, but I did mention to students in this semester that I am offering Digital Media 1 in the spring, and I'm also offering Graphic Design 2 in the spring. And so yeah, I look forward to just kind of seeing you all grow. Have a good day. Bye-bye.